Is everything there? Yep. Okay, we're going to be getting into lobby, into Champ Select soon. But before we get there, we can talk about the fact that we're now in quarterfinals, and so we can leave behind the weird group stages with a caliber of play that's not going to be as high as we see from here on out. Now that we're in the elimination stage, we're now in the quarterfinals, and we're against CCSW Esports team.
And, well, AGSB went 5-0 in their groups. Obviously, a game was missed, so they went 4-0 in games they played. But they didn't really stand much of a challenge in the group stages. But now, with another 5-0 team, which is CCSW, we'll be looking for some much closer games, maybe some more drawn-out games, opportunities for plays to be made. It'll be
we're now facing against teams that have won their respective groups, just like AGSB. And so we can expect that this is going to be some tougher opposition for AGSB, and not something that they can kind of roll over like they often did in the group games.
Definitely. So,
and of course,
do we know
also,
anything?
Do we know anything about CCSW? Not yet, but as soon as we do, we can check their team out and their players. But what we do know is that these are two teams that won their respective groups and have done really well so far in the tournament, and are obviously hoping to get to finals, both teams. And yet, after this game, only one will remain, and the other will go out. And so you have to be a bit scared for either side, because in group stage, that wasn't necessarily the case. You could lose a game, and it's like, you know, that's okay. We just win the others. But for this game, you must win this game in order to advance to the next round. And so if AGSB want to be able to get further in this tournament, want to be able to get to semi-finals, potentially finals, then they really have to win this game, and you can say exactly the same about CCSW. So this is much higher stakes than what we've seen in the other games, and it's not just much higher stakes, it's also much tougher competition.
Oh, Aragon, you have just cut out.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we still don't have the names of the players, I don't think. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of waiting until we actually get into this lobby, unfortunately. But I've been told that the game should start in just a few minutes, and so that should be underway soon. We should be going into Champ Select. Do you have any champion picks you want to see in this game?
I'd quite like to see some mage top laners making use of the new Conqueror. It's been shown to be quite strong on these AP champs who
Something like Cassiopeia.
Yes, Cassiopeia, Vlad, Swain, because of course, even though
it stacks half as much.
the abilities actually still give you your 2 stacks. So
Yeah.
who can spam abilities like a Cassio can still get their 5 stacks of Conqueror very quickly.
And
But,
it stays for 8 seconds, so it's very easy for them to keep their uptime on that.
instead of the original 2-second for ranged champions.
Okay, I have the name of one of the players. Apparently. It's supposed to be called Opera Khan. Let me look at their OPGG.
So they appear to be supports main.
Our OP.GG is not really working properly, but
How are we all?
Oh, it appears their support player is Penguins, and he is a Nautilus Rakan player.
where have you found that?
I have found it on the link I have sent to you, Arag.
Okay, well, Lemon Curd's out his custom game now, so we might be getting into lobby soon, hopefully. So, hopefully we'll be getting into this game soon. Oh, I've been invited to a custom.
Sadly, not much to talk about until this game is started. However, what we can speculate about is, what champs we're going to see from AGSB. Are we going to see the very dominant Rengar top lane again, coming from the LOL, or are we going to see the Zyra Khan coming from the bot lane, or is that going to be banned away from Vilfire and NHX?
Well, thing is, you have to remember that these teams don't actually get to scout each other out, champion pick wise, because they don't know each other's usernames, which means that unless CCSW are scared of Zyra Khan, I can't see them banning it, because they don't know that Vilfire is so good on that champion.
Hmm.
Okay, well, we have the entirety of AGSB Esports lined up in this lobby, but we still don't have any CCSW members, which means we still can't look them up on OPGG.
Hmm.
Oh, apparently they're logging on. It might be because of this new Riot thing where it takes a while to log on now, because they might be having to change their names.
Oh. So hopefully some of the members of
CCSW.
CCSW will turn up. Otherwise, this is going to be quite an anticlimactic stream.
Okay, guys, so apparently CCSW said they would be 10 to 15 minutes, around 10 minutes ago. So they might come on now, they might come on in 5 minutes, they might come on in 10, but hopefully we should be seeing them come at some point in the next 10 or so minutes.
Oh. Well, we'll see. So I think we're going to we're going to wait a few more minutes for CCSW to show up. We'll see what happens. Okay. So
Is this going to be a no-show? That's the question.
I think this is likely to be a no-show. Not a single member of CCSW has actually turned up, which is quite well. I'll give them a couple more minutes.
See, if they don't show up, then this is a forfeit, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that's an automatic win to AGSB, and AGSB's rampage will continue.
Oh, it's hardly a rampage if they don't even play the game.
Okay, I think we're putting a timer for 3 minutes onto this game.
I mean, technically, if they don't arrive by quarter past, it can be forfeited. And it's now 22 past, but we're not going to forfeit it, not yet. A few more minutes. It'll be a bit sad for them though if they lose at the quarterfinals simply because they didn't show up.
Definitely. Because this is only well, obviously it would be quite fortunate for AGSB as they'd automatically get a place in the semi-finals and they'd automatically get a third, fourth finish. However, you know, there's still a chance. We'll just have to see what happens.
You know what? It's 25 past and they're not here.
I think
This might have to be a forfeit for CCSW.
Which will be very unfortunate. I was looking forward to commentating a game where the opposition for AGSB rather, might have been a bit stronger. It appears that that's not going to happen, however. I believe. Okay. I think the time is up.
Who's this?
Oh, we have one member. This is a member of CCSW. We have one member. We have two members of CCSW. This is a POG.
Wait, they're all here.
They're all here. They're all
Literally
here.
the second.
Literally, as the timer's run down.
The second we're saying it's gonna be forfeited.
And that is all 5 members. We are into Tramp Select. Exciting. So now it's the ban phase. Ewan on the side of AGSB. We'll see what he's going to ban.
Do you remember the champions they were banning last time?
I believe that Yasuo was one of them. I think that they definitely banned the Yasuo. I think they may have banned the Kaisar. I'm not sure. So yeah, we do see the Respect Xayah ban coming through. We'll see if they are going to leave Khan open as well. Maybe they have done they've done a little bit of research onto Vilfire and NHX.
My list just got longer.
And a Pike ban. Ooh, and they ban away the Nautilus, which is actually very smart from them. We've seen that a member, that Penguins, on the side of CCSW, is quite a gifted.
Oh yeah, do you want to get the OPGGs up for some of these players now we have them?
Yes.
I'm actually interested. Have CCSW got the OPGGs of some of these AGSB players? Did they know that Vilfire was a good Xayah player, and therefore they thought it would be a good idea to ban that pick? Funnily enough, they then pick the Rengar, which is exactly what we saw Ewan, top laner for AGSB, pick last week.
And we're seeing the Bard taken away, which was what NHX played last week.
And interestingly, they're playing, or Vilfire, sorry, is playing Jinx, not Kai'Sa, like we saw him play last time instead of the Xayah. So he's kind of flexing his champion pool beyond that Xayah. He went into Kai'Sa, sorry. Now he's gone into Jinx. We've got Cassiopeia. We might see a bit of what you were saying about seeing that new Conqueror. As
and
we
also,
get into
I'd like
the second
to
round phase.
all three of the picks of CCSW, they really target the immobile AD carries like Jinx well. So the Rengar, if you don't really have a dash or a leap to run away from the R1 shots, the Bard can land very easy Rs, and also the Cho'Gath's Q, his spikes, will be quite easy to hit on the Jinx.
And obviously that's a ban of the kind of newly reworked Shaco, who can be a bit of a problem. Although, of course, AGSB have already banned away, or not banned, sorry, they've already picked the Nunu in the jungle, so unless that's for Shaco's support, I'm not exactly sure where that's particularly aimed for.
Well, I think we've seen Shaco support in of course we haven't seen it in Pro Play yet. However, we've seen Shaco support being quite a dominant pick. So maybe they're taking that away from NHX. Maybe they've sniped NHX's hidden Shaco support power pick. And I'll be interested to see whether they're going to pick a new mid laner, or whether the Cassiopeia is going to be the mid laner for AGSB. It looks like the Cassiopeia will be.
So last pick, we have a Lulu for an HX. That's going to be enabling this Jinx. So they, you know what, I'm seeing a lot of kind of damage sources from AGSB. This kind of hyper carry Jinx, hyper carry Kai'Sa, and Kled can also pump out loads and loads of damage. Basically this Jinx being aided by the Lulu, I can see lots and lots of damage coming out from AGSB, but that's not to say they don't have teamfight potential, because they obviously have things like the Cassiopeia ult and they have the Kled ult. Even the Nunu ult to some extent can be used well in a teamfight. And then looking at CCSW, we have teamfight potential in Cho'Gath, in Kai'Sa, in Bard. Of course, Rengar a bit more kind of nuanced in that sense. He wants to pick off someone from the back, probably, you know, Jinx or Cassiopeia, although saying that Cassiopeia has the grounded effect on her miasma, which she can use to stop Rengar from jumping onto her, so we could imagine that Rengar will be looking to one-shot Jinx in lots of these fights, and then that's...
I think it'll be a real test of the support NHX's reaction.
Yeah,
to
is
whether
NHX
he'll-
able to save a Vilfire with the ultimate, with the shield from Lulu?
Because of course, when Rengar leaps onto the Jinx, if NHX is fast enough on that R, he can knock off the Rengar. He can make sure that the Rengar doesn't get in range to use its powerful Q and empowered Q to one shots.
Yeah, if basically AGSB are able to stop this Rengar from being able to jump onto their backline, stop them from being able to jump onto Jinx, jump onto Cassiopeia, which Cassiopeia does have the tools to stop that herself with, as I say, the miasma, then basically AGSB can just run... Okay, not run through the team. We then have, obviously, the Cho'Gath. And now, with new pre-season underway, there's this kind of return of a tank meta, and Cho'Gath, especially with the new Ocean Drake and the new Mountain Drake, which are very kind of tank-oriented now, Cho'Gath can be very scary. So Jinx with something like a Blade of the Ruined King, with a Lord Dominic's Regards, has to try and get rid of that massive, massive front line of what we can expect from that Cho'Gath on the team. Meanwhile, obviously, you've got Kai'Sa having to just deal damage from, or not necessarily from the backline, of course, because her ult will enable her to get around, so you can imagine a kind of scenario where Rengar one-shots Jinx, and then Kai'Sa is able to come round, perhaps assisted by a Q from Cho'Gath, which knocks everyone up, and then AGSB are just obliterated before they can do anything. But then you can imagine a different scenario. Rengar jumps in, Lulu saves Jinx, they kill Rengar, and then Jinx is able to just get loads of damage down onto Cho'Gath, because she's really the thing that we're looking for, to be able to kill that massive tank presence. And then at that point, it's basically a 5v3. And when you're looking at that, you're saying, okay, it's a 5v3. We should expect AGSB to win that fight, unless there's some amazing micro talent on the side of CCSW, which remains to be seen, really, whether that is the case.
I think if we're going to see any action in this game, it's going to be around the bottom mid lanes, because especially after first back, the Kled is not going to be able to deal with the Cho'Gath, since they changed Conqueror so it was less strong against tanks. Unless, of course, the Kled chooses to go for something like a press the attack, or even a lethal tempo to try and cut down the tank that is Cho'Gath.
Okay, so here's something about the players. Stealth, which is the Kai'Sa player, the ADC, he's Platinum. So he might be the player, really, that CCSW are looking to play around, and that's why they've given him the Kai'Sa, presumably. He's their big carry. He's the player that they're looking to play around. Penguins also, he's gold. Penguins, of course. In this game, he's playing the Bard, presumably the Bard support, with, of course, the new support items, which means that, especially as Bard with Electrocute, he doesn't have to spend money on the support item upgrades. He can instead spend money on some damage sources that, as a Bard player, you might really want to get.
So, I think it's Kled has actually opted to go for the Conqueror, which I think is an interesting pick against such a tanky champion who can itemize specifically against Conqueror. So, if the Cho'Gath builds a Thornmail, I think or even just a Bramble Vest, I don't really think Kled's going to have much fun in dealing with that in the top lane. And of course, it's much easier for the Rengar to play around the Cho'Gath with his silence and his significant knock-up and slow than it is for the Nunu to try and gank this tanky, very durable Cho'Gath in the top lane.
Yeah. He's got grasp, so he'll be stacking up that health practically from minute 1. And Kled has taken Conqueror, but Conqueror's been changed now, so it's not going to grant that true damage that it once did, and so that's going to be good for Cho'Gath, because Cho'Gath doesn't have to worry about the true damage that would be coming from an old version of Conqueror that has since been removed. But of course, we see the Conqueror on the Cassiopeia, which is what you were talking about before the game. Whilst Conqueror's not as good on Kled as it used to be, Conqueror's now really good on Cassiopeia. It's really easy to stack up with the abilities. You only need 5 E's basically, or 1 Q and 4 E's, whatever, with Cassiopeia, and it stays for 8 seconds. Each stack stays for 8 seconds, so it's really easy to stack up, and it's really easy to then deal loads of damage and heal for that damage you're dealing, or for the percentage of it, which is 15%, I believe.
Yes, and of course, in the early game, the Cassiopeia won't be doing too much, especially with the long range on Lux. But definitely towards the mid game, where she can start getting off those petrifying gazes and start landing miasmas, so the Kaisar and the Rengar are quite limited in their mobility. We'll see what they can do. Because I think they've got quite some teamfight potential with the AoE damage from Jinx rockets, the engage from the Kled and the Nunu, and also the strong AoE damage from the Cassiopeia. All with a Lulu to keep them healthy and alive in the face of
if we can
Rengar.
count on NHX to be able to support the team in that way, and to be able to support the Jinx particularly in that way. Let me just fix the scene. There we go.
So,
Okay, and we're getting into game now. Scoreboard all fixed.
once again, we can look and see as to what the level 1 plays are going to be. Looks like a AGSB are just going for standard, walking down the lanes, and it does also appear that CCSW are doing the same. So no level 1
we have
action,
a
and the pause.
Hardware issue apparently on the Rengar. Lengthy pause, by the way. Well, as you say, yeah, there's no kind of insane shenanigans going on level 1. They're just doing this standard kind of 5-point start across the map, or at least AGSB is. It remains to be seen what CCSW want to do with their champions, except for the fact that Cho'Gath, of course, is going top. We've seen Rengar and Lux walk into blue side jungle for them.
And is there anything to say about the item starts? Not particularly.
No.
Everything's very standard.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if this pause was a couple minutes in, there'd be more to talk about. Client loaded, logging in and rejoining. Okay, so we shouldn't have that long.
And also, this is the first game that will be played with the alcoves in play. So we'll see how these in a more coordinated 5v5 team scenario, whether they'll be able to effectively use the lane alcoves to protect against ganks or to even set up ganks themselves. For example, the Rengar being able to very easily sneak into the blue side bot lane.
Okay, game unpaused. Wasn't that much of a lengthy pause, was it? Well,
and game repaused.
well, I say that, and as I say that, we have another pause.
And a bit of, obviously, I'm not sure if you can see this. So we'll see some action soon enough. See some interesting all chat going on right now.
Yeah.
Players seem to be quite frustrated as to the game being so delayed.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, Lemon Curd has to go at quarter to 5, or had to go. So it remains to be seen whether he'll still have to leave, in which case it would be a 4v5. And I'm sure AGSB would have wished that they forfeited the game, but there's an unpause now. Should be getting in.
It's like game started.
Hopefully Lemon Curd does not have to leave in the next 2 minutes.
Game has been unpaused, and although there is a nice early brush ward.
And what I will say is that the star player for CCSW is not yet in the game.
Maybe he's so confident in his abilities that he is giving them a couple of minutes of a head start, although I very much doubt that is the case.
Okay, well, red start for Nooney with what should be a generous leash from NHX and Vilfire. And we've got the leash from Penguins, which was very generous, onto the blue buff of Berengar on CCSW. An early knock up onto Cled, and that's all trading's really going to get up to at this kind of level 1 bit. A reconnect for the Kaiser.
So we'll have to see what the Jinx and the Lulu can do with this very slight EXP lead. Doing some trading in the mid lane, although not really being able to use the Conqueror too effectively, getting some counter poke onto the Lux.
Okay, Kaiser's almost here. She's going to be getting onto her first wave. She's not missed out that much, to be fair. She's missed. Yeah, she's missed. No, 2 waves because she's got that wave there.
Yes. Oh, and it looks like the Lemon Curd will not be spotted stealing those chickens.
Yeah, so we already see some nice early pathing from Lemon Curd, which is the kind of pattern we're seeing with Lemon Curd. He's a reliable jungle player who we can expect to see some good, plays all around the map with good macro. Yeah, Vilfire and NHX, I would say, perhaps made a mistake, although at that point is a bit unfair, really, but perhaps made a mistake in hard pushing the wave at the beginning, so actually Stealth didn't miss out on as many waves as they needed to, or they could have, but at the same time, that's taking advantage of a disconnected player.
Sure, they're
Exactly.
more honourable.
Yeah, they're honourable enough to not forfeit the game at 4:15.
Yes, they are being very accommodating of CCSW and their...
That's an early stun and an electrocute from Penguins onto Vilfire. And just Ewan taking advantage of that bird trap on the rope.
It looks like the Rengar is doing the bot lane crab, although he is not going to search for a gank. In fact, he'll be spotted in the mid lane on the ward. Another important thing about this game is we'll get a chance to see the new Drakes.
Yeah, I've just turned up objective timers for this stream so that everyone can see, because I thought, yeah, the new Drakes everyone can now see. We've got an Ocean Drake coming up here, obviously, or not coming up, an Ocean Drake ready for the taking.
And definitely after that very strong gank, although there were no kills, it seems like both
Yeah,
bot
it's
laners
enough for
or
both
CCSW
bot
will
laners
be
to
ganked.
have to recall there.
Yeah, so
And what
that's
that means
gonna
is
be a
they
free
get an
Ocean
Ocean
Drake.
Drake there. And obviously, the first two Drakes now have greatly reduced health, so at like level 4, level 4, level 3 here, it's much easier to take it, because it basically has about 60% of the health that it used to at this same stage in the game. And also, you have to remember that with the new Drake changes, as a teleport comes up to the top actually, to help out this Rengar, but I don't think Rengar's going to continue on that. He's just going to go back to the jungle, perhaps to farm those Krugs. But as I was saying, the new way the Drakes work means that because we've got an Ocean now, the first 3 Drakes have to be different Drakes. So because we've had an Ocean now, it means that there can't be an Ocean again, and importantly, we can't get that Ocean map or Ocean Soul that we might like to see. So we're now looking at... And also, actually, the next Drake is Mountain, which means that the map
It's very
change...
unfortunate for the Cho'Gath, because he will not be able to receive his...
Well, he'll not be able to get a Mountain Soul, but he might be able to get a singular Mountain buff for a bit of extra resistance, armor and magic resist. As a gank comes in from the Nunu, the Snowball misses Stealth, but he's hit anyway by the Zap from Jinx, and that's going to be first blood onto Jinx. Now Bard is running for his life. He's looking for the magical journey, but he's unable to get it. As he gets the stun though, but it's not going to be enough. As Vil gets the Zap off, doesn't hit, Lemon Curd kills him anyway with the Chomp.
We'll see, it looks like this blue buff is going to be stolen away. A 2v2 scenario, which I do think that CCSW will win if they choose to go in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nunu's now
And Nunu's...
at both sides. He's just going to be taken down by that Lux laser unless the flash saves him. The bowler strike from Rengar just slows him, but the miasma is going to save Lemon Curd. Lux is trying to get the kill with her E, hits him with the Q, and that stun from the mid laner is not going to help Lemon Curd survive, unfortunately, for him. And so that's a return kill, and you know what? That's the first game we've seen where we get return kills like this. So that's a promising start for this game. Really, that we're going to see something exciting. The Q comes out from Lux, but she doesn't have any mana left to follow up with any other abilities. But now Bardin for Rome realises he can't really do anything onto this Cassiopeia. He's going back down. And perhaps he's going to spot Lemon Curd taking that red buff. or just walk back to the bottom lane.
Gonna have a big wave shoving into bot lane, however, it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do much with it, since there is no Drake alive, and both bot laners are very healthy and have just had their first.
Oh, but now Nunu coming in with a snowball, a lovely magical journey from Penguins, but I'm not sure whether that's going to save him. Lemon Curd is going on to Kaiser. Vilfire has decided that's the best port of call really to follow. The zap just hits Stealth on the side, and that's going to be a second kill for Vilfire. And now Bard kind of in a wrong place here, but he's not going to be caught by the snowball from Lemon Curd, as he's not really able to drift it into him. And so we now get a state of 3-1 for AGSB, and now this is promising for them.
Both objectives have been secured.
And now an ultimate coming from Ewan and from two other members of AGSB. They're simply just going to take down Cho'Gath before he can get strong enough to resist such kind of three-man ganks with what we'd expect a much higher HP Cho'Gath, a much more tanky Cho'Gath to be able to do in the future. Lemon Curd's actually taking damage from the tower there. I'm not sure whether he realised he was or not. And also, remember, this is a new, much weaker Herald, as Cassiopeia living on just a few health, and I don't think that Lux is actually going to be able to get this kill on Cassiopeia that she wants. Lux just in the middle of a minion wave. I'm afraid that this is probably going to be an easy kill for Ewan on this Kled. Now Cho'Gath back in. He hits a Q, and this might be a dismount onto Kled if he hits this empowered auto, and he does. Now English Bear looking for an ultimate onto Ewan, but Ewan gets back onto his mount, and he's just going to take down English Bear on the Cho'Gath. Now that is unfortunate for CCSW, and that's unfortunate for English Bear. He wanted to get that ultimate off. You could see it. Kled getting down to such low HP. English Bear just thinking, oh, I just need to do a tiny bit more damage, and then he's able to get that ultimate off. But the dismount, or the mount even, back onto Kled, as a lovely flash from Cassiopeia to stop the ultimate from Bard.
I have to say, although pre-game I was thinking that this top lane wasn't going to be very exciting. We've seen a lot of play around the top lane, and also Kled has been very good in zoning off the Cho'Gath from CF.
Yeah, a lot of fighting, a lot of trading. We're now seeing a 3-0 Kled, the most fed member of the game, really.
And we're also seeing a second Drake coming out. It remains to be seen if the
we're going to see actually a change in the map now, and it's going to be for an Infernal Rift. A magical journey just saves Bard from these 4 players, but I'm afraid for Rengar this is probably nighty-night, as he gets hit by Vilfire, but he's just about going to survive. Penguin's now in a bit of trouble, just gets out of range. Stealth just dodges the ult from Cassiopeia, and now this is awful for AGSB. They're stuck under the tower of CCSW, and that is 2 kills onto CCSW. That was absolutely beautiful from all 3 players, really, of CCSW here. First, we saw Agatha on the Rengar. We saw the dodge from the Zap, I believe it was, from Vilfire, and then we saw another dodge from Bard to be able to get behind the tower, and of course as the Rengar escaped up towards that tier 2 turret, AGSB then went towards the Bard who was next to the Kaiser, and then there was that amazing play when of course Cassiopeia ulted, and neither Penguins nor Stealth, I believe, got stunned because they turned away, they dodged it, and then obviously an ultimate came out from the Kaiser. Stealth was able to pick up, well, Stealth didn't get the kills, but 2 assists onto Stealth. Stealth, I would say, played really well, but of course, the other members of CCSW, that was really good from them. We saw great play from Bard, we saw great play from Rengar to stop themselves from being killed by AGSB, who were pretty much deathballing it down into the bottom lane of AGSB, and now Agatha perhaps in a bit of trouble. He gets caught up in the miasma. He's just going to take the magical journey out, but he's taking a lot of damage from the Cassiopeia. But I think this might be Lemon Curd dying as he comes out on a bit of health, and Penguin's now running for his life. NHX in a bit of trouble. He's going to ult himself, and he is not going to die today, as Stealth, trying to bite off a bit more than he can chew, he's going to go down along with another 3 members from CCSW, and that is tragic for CCSW. It was something that they thought they were turning around there, and they thought they were actually going to get something good going on, and to be honest, I think we all did. It looked like something up to the point just before NHX ulted himself. It looked like this was a major team fight win for CCSW, but then of course the ult and the shield saved NHX. He didn't die. Stealth still wanted to kill him, so Stealth ults anyway to try and kill him, and then he realises he's in the middle of 4 members of AGSB who have just killed all the other members of his team, including Penguins, and of course Lux was just there and really hopeless, and so it just meant that it was just an awful team fight for CCSW, but you know what, that is awful positioning from NHX, and he's just going to get caught out there. There's not much you can say about that. He was not in the right place and not in the right time, but you know what, Kled, this 5-0 Kled does so much damage that this Rengar is just going to die, and that's a solo kill onto Rengar. Unfortunate for Rengar, it's not like Rengar is feeding this game, but Kled's just so much stronger now, 6-0.
And the Titanic Hydra first item allows him to really push out those minion waves and effectively get down to objective, like this second Rift Herald. So we'll see where this one's going to be used, whether it's going to be used.
Well, yeah, that's the. Of course, the Rift Herald is not as strong as it used to be, and we saw that in action as they put down the last Rift Herald. It was only able to get the 1 tower, but now, of course, that means they get a second Herald, and we see where this can go, whether it can have some map influence, whether it can cause a push, perhaps in the mid lane, perhaps down the bot side.
It's definitely showing the top lane impact. You're going to be able to get a lot of gold from your Rift Herald, although...
Okay, and now this is exactly what we were talking about. Philfire is simply going to die from that ultimate from Rengar. That is exactly what we were talking about prior to this game. That is what Rengar wants to do, just catch out this Kaiser. Or catch out this Jinx even, sorry. And Philfire is not able to do much there, just has to accept the death. And this is going to be potentially the 3rd Drake of the game for AGSB.
And now we are going to see the Infinity Edge on Jinx. We'll see how strong those autos will be.
And we're going to see Storm Razor being finished up for the Kaiser now as well, so that kind of cresting that first item for a lot of the players on both teams now, and some power spikes are going to come out for these players. I'm expecting to see, actually, with this Archangels finished and the Blasting Wand coming out from Cassiopeia, some big damage, as we actually have seen so far, some big damage from the Cass, and I think it can only get better, really, for that champion.
And the Cassiopeia's almost there at its Seraph's Embrace. About 100 stacks to go.
So what it's about now, really...
Micro spike.
Yeah, what it's about now, really, is for CCSW trying to stop some of the bleeding from this game, which I will say they've actually done a good job of. Every time AGSB, or not every time, many times when AGSB are about to do a big team fight, which they think is a win, then there's actually often a good chance of CCSW, as we've seen a couple times now, actually stopping that. But now Rengar is forced to use the ultimate to get away, and he's not actually able to one-shot Vilfire like he would have wanted to. The Rift Herald is not able to get any damage, and Hongzu Ni on the Lulu just stops the Rengar dead in his tracks with a beautiful ultimate. But now this Kai'Sa is able to pump down loads of damage, a kill, but Kled is just too fed to be able for CCSW to be able to do anything. CCSW, you know what? They killed 2 members of AGSB. They killed that Vilfire and they killed that Cassiopeia. But then simply we just see the Kled coming down, and he's so fed. He's now 8-0. He can just single-handedly pretty much carry the team fight for AGSB. And it's at that point when, as CCSW, say, okay, everyone, you know, disengage, everyone run away from this fight, we don't want to fight this anymore. But actually, I will say again for CCSW, that was a good example of them stopping some of the bleeding, saying, okay, we need to do something now, you know, pull the trigger finger, do it, and then they do. And whilst Kled wasn't there, they were actually able to get some major gains. And now I'd say for Kled, he's in a bit of a rough position. 3v1, he already gets 1 kill, and to be honest, he's still going. The dismount protects himself from the ultimate from Lux, but it's not going to be enough as Cho'Gath gets the chop down onto Kled, and that's going to be a 9-1 Kled as he gets his first death of the game. And this is a bit cheeky. It's a bit cheeky from AGSB. They get that it's a bit cheeky and they disengage, really. There was only 1 member of CCSW dead, and he was coming up very shortly. That wasn't really something they could do in that position. But now that Cho'Gath has got an ult off, he's going to get tankier and tankier. He's going to get stronger and stronger. But actually, with this Lulu Jinx, AGSB absolutely decimate the health bar of this Baron Nashor, and I really don't think that CCSW are going to be able to say anything about that. They get simple binding, light binding from the Lux onto Lemon Curd, but it's not going to be enough to grant them any kind of major advantage or kill onto the now Baron empowered AGSB Esports.
So I think we're going to see them ARAM it down mid lane, although we do see the Kled split pushing in bots.
Yeah, and there's not much that we can see for CCSW to be able to do on this Kled, although the empowered Bola Strike from Rengar means that now Ewan's in a bit of a tough spot. He's going to have to fight his way out, but I think he's just dead to another chomp from Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath gets another ult down. However, but whilst that's going on, he provided the best distraction that AGSB could have hoped for, because pretty much the entirety of CCSW went to match that Kled in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, 4 members of AGSB able to run up the mid lane, able to get an inhibitor with pretty much no response from CCSW.
That's an excellent macro play coming out from the Kled, being able to drag so many resources down.
Well, yeah, he understands that not only is CCSW scared of him, they are willing to send pretty much all their members down to kill him, which means that for AGSB, it's basically a free inhib for them, as long as Kled is able to draw the members of CCSW down for long enough, which, in that occasion, he certainly did.
Now we're seeing both teams starting to head towards the
Yeah, I can
dragon.
expect that this is a fight, perhaps, unless Rengar just wants to concede this Drake, which actually he might now realise he wants to. A Baron-empowered 5-man from AGSB as the ultimate comes down from Bard, but it is not going to stop the dragon being taken for AGSB. The Jinx ult stops Penguins from being able to come back, and Lemon Curd's just going to catch Stealth with the snowball. This might be a death for the Kai'Sa, and now a tower dive onto Penguins. I do not think that this is going to end well for Penguins, as he uses the stopwatch as a last resort, but it does not matter. The 11-2 Kled just decimates him under the tower. Baron empowered ulti boys are walking into the base of CCSW, and there is not much that CCSW can do to stop them. There is a huge Cho'Gath here, but even he is being blown up by AGSB as they are going to advance to the semi-finals as they take down CCSW today in the quarters.
So we definitely we saw a lot of interesting things going on that game. We saw the Jinx getting quite fed early, however then being shut down by I think a combination of Rengar and Kaisar playing well, and also some poor positioning coming out from both members of the bot lane that game. However, it wasn't enough. The top lane Kleds just being so far ahead of the Cho'Gath, and in fact so far ahead of everyone on the side of CCSW, even if the Kaisar and Rengar were working well to catch out the Jinx.
What the game often felt like is that AGSB were making gains and CCSW were just trying to stop it lots of the time. You know, things like tower dives, they'd just try and stop them, and they'd actually just about cling on. They'd get a few consolation kills, they'd get a few kills back onto AGSB, but then really you just see the Kled appear. He'd appear with the ultimate that allows him to pretty much get cross-map. He sees that his team need help, he goes, okay, don't worry, I'm here. He gets there, and he basically decimates the side of CCSW, and there's not much that they're able to do against that fed Kled, who by the end of the game was 11-2.
I think our candidates for player of the game definitely our top laner Ewan, as well as the Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia, although doesn't quite have the impressive KDA.
Yeah, but I saw some really good play, some really good micro play from the Cassiopeia.
And also some very good macro play, understanding that the very strong objective DPS of Cassiopeia would be very useful for the Baron and Dragons.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd also like to draw attention to the fact that out of the 19 kills that AGSB were able to get, Lemon Curd had 14 assists and 1 kill, so he had participation in 15 of those kills, which was far and away the best number of assists in the game. Lemon Curd definitely was always able to get a helping hand in those kills, partly because, as we saw all the time, is he would come in with that snowball, catch someone out, like the Kaiser, and then everyone else from AGSB would just pounce, basically, onto that target that had been knocked up by the Nunu snowball. And so then that would garner AGSB lots of kind of random kills here and there. And then when they'd get one random kill, say they got a random kill onto Stealth on the Kaiser, then the other members of CCSW would be left running, wondering which direction to go, and AGSB could then deathball it onto someone else. It would be kind of like a domino effect. They'd kill one person randomly, but then there'd be someone else there that they're then able to kill, and that's what it felt like a lot of the time.
I think I would have to give the player of the game to Lemon Curd, in my personal opinion, just because of the bot lane control, the dragon control.
There was lots of map control from Lemon Curd.
Really had it all going on.
Although, I'd disagree, of course, and say that the player of the game has to be Ewan on the Kled. Simply because, unlike last game when he was playing the Rengar, and he of course in that game also got ultra fed, but in that game, from the play we were seeing of the Garen he was against, it was understandable why he was so fed. But from this Cho'Gath, the Cho'Gath in fact was 2 and 3 at the end of the game. I didn't see this Cho'Gath, do anything that would suggest to me that the kills from the Cled are undeserved. To me, it was more like there was amazing setup from the Cled. The Cled got quite a few solo kills. There was also actually amazing setup from the Nunu, who at the beginning of the game did grant Cled a lot of ganks, or grant him a lot of follow-up that allowed Cled to garner those number of kills. But even then, he played exceptionally well, the Cled. He came in to the team fights, he was able to clean up, and also let's not forget that amazing split push in the bot lane, where he was basically able to stop the entirety of CCW or CCSW from preventing that inhibitor take in the mid lane, which I thought was amazingly understood, that kind of macro play from him. So that's why I would say that Cled would be player of the game for this one, with that 11-2-3 score, 171 CS, which was the most in the game, and also those great kind of plays cross map.
Cled definitely was a strong member of the team. So, I think we'll very much look forward to seeing AGSB Esports in the semi-finals. It was another win, although not quite as dominant as previous victories, previous games they'd played. But you know, they still definitely were
Well, yeah, we would
strong
expect
contender.
it to not be as dominant, seeing as though it's the quarterfinals. We saw some kind of opposition here that we haven't seen before, but nonetheless, they advanced to the semi-finals.
So, I think with that, we'll look forward to seeing you next week, next Wednesday at 4 o'clock dead, hopefully this time.
Yep, hopefully there won't be any delay next week. And so thanks for tuning in and watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. And that will be it from me, Aragon, and
me, Dargon VGC.